going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Batman News Weekly. This is episode 167 in year 4. And if you are listening to this in America, it is Thanksgiving Day as we record this. My Cowboys actually just won a fucking game for once on Thanksgiving. If you're not a Cowboys fan, feel free to hate me. I don't care. But, you know, ride or die. Anyway, so that is cool. But yeah, we are recording this, so this might drop on Thursday. I don't really know, but when you listen to it, you listen to it. But I hope everybody, if you are celebrating Thanksgiving, had a great Thanksgiving. And if you're just having a normal week, I hope your week's awesome as well. So there it is. Clay, how was your Thanksgiving so far?
Actually pretty good. I work at the largest grocery provider in Texas, HEB. And they gave us a coupon for a free turkey.
Oh, nice.
So I got mine on Tuesday when I was off.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know how to really like find the turkey or whatnot. So I went inside, talked to a random person that usually works like in the back in the cold section, the meat section. And he's like, okay, so you don't want to get those because those are for the actual customers if they purchase this. Those are over here, and they're like freaking huge ass turkeys.
Nice.
He's like, the bigger the pound, the more meat it has. So I literally went digging for the largest one. Ended up being 34 pounds of turkey.
Jesus.
And I got it for free.
That is crazy. What is up with you? Because at our old job, they gave us free turkeys too. I don't know what is up with people like, oh, free turkey. Like, bitch, give me money. Like, goddamn, my family's gonna have a turkey.
Same thing. I actually got audited twice this week.
Mm-hmm.
One the day before Thanksgiving and one on Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And I got speaking of money, it's one of those things like I want actual money, none of this like gift card or like you know whatever. I got $35 in gift cards.
Nice.
For the store that I work at. I'm just like, that doesn't help me whatsoever.
Well, I mean, you can use them for gas at least, right? Because gas still sucks.
Not with these, because like it's a special kind of gift card for only employees.
Can you buy a gift card with it?
I guess
like I would assume you could buy a gift card, like a Visa gift card to use at the pump.
Yeah, and then do the I guess I could do that.
That might be a turnaround. They'll probably be like, nah, sorry, we can't do that. I've learned, and this is how I scammed Amazon one time. Fuck you, Amazon. I tried to buy a gift card with a credit card one time, and it didn't fucking
I remember
work.
this.
And I fought so hard to get it, and like I had it happen twice, and I ended up getting like $200 plus free dollars from Amazon because everybody was just trying to fix my problem, and I just got all this free. I was like, yeah, I beat Amazon. Fuck them. But I never got the gift cards, so that kind of sucked. But yeah, I don't know. You can't buy a gift card with a credit card. But anyways, you live and you learn. I don't know if anybody's going to do Black Friday shit. Good luck out there if you're doing any of that, which I don't think it's that bad anymore. I don't think people are dying like they used to. So, you know, it is what it is.
For me, I like now that everything's online and there's so many stores that are like Black Friday sales start on Monday and it's like an entire week. So
I have family that work in retail, and they always talk about how they're trying to get away from that because I think they're just tired of it. So that's why the sales start so early now, because they're just trying to spread everything out.
Yeah.
And they just don't want the crazy crowds anymore, which especially after COVID, I understand. So
100%.
You know, it is pretty crazy. But anyways, let's talk about fucking Batman, which is what this podcast is for. And this week, we don't got a lot. Well, we got some interesting things. We have some updates with Penguin, and we also have James Gunn saying a whole bunch of stuff that people are not going to be happy with, and I kind of like it. So let's start with that, because it has come out that James Gunn basically told every scooper and every we got you covered type website to go fuck themselves in not a nice way, which I really appreciate, because sometimes you don't need to be nice, you know? And this is probably the best thing and what DC really needed. I don't know if you have a quote actually pulled up.
I do have all of them pulled up, actually. So there was, I can't remember exactly. It says right here, Gunn was actually just talking about a Hollywood Reporter article about Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. And some random person replied to him and said, "Some people are claiming they know who will be the DCU Batman. Do you already decided, or are they bullshitting? Have you already decided, or are they bullshitting?" And James Gunn says, "Anyone who says they know anything about anything in the future of DCU is bullshitting, because right now that's truly only me and Peter."
Yeah. So go for it.
Well, I was just going to say, of course, speaking about Peter Safran, the co-CEO.
Yeah. So dude, the delusion in some people on Twitter really does blow my mind. But I want to say there's a little bit of validity that can happen in maybe the people that were running the DCEU. But I think when it comes to Gunn and Safran, like it's a fucking tight-lipped type of thing right now, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that are like, yeah, like there's not actually people that know what's going on besides Gunn and them. Like these people leak stuff all the time. Like there's genuinely a lot of people that think James Gunn's best friend probably knows what's going on. So James Gunn's friend is low-key being the insider that's feeding these other people.
I'm just going to let all you listeners know, James Gunn's friends don't give a shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
They don't.
That's the one thing you need to learn if you are famous. The people that are closest to you don't give a fuck that you're famous. Unless you're somebody that is like, unless your friend is buying you a bunch of shit and you're one of those people and you just have friends that are around you for your money, then those people will give a fuck. But like your real friends that you would actually probably tell real shit to, they don't give a fuck that you're famous. Like they could fucking care less.
Yeah. And so there was another post. There's a website called Geekosity.
I lost all their credibility.
So they are really famous for like just throwing shit at the wall and to see what sticks, what gets them clicks, what gets them a part of the conversation. They've been doing it for like 3 years now. So they posted an article saying Henry Cavill's new contract includes Superman TV appearances. And James Gunn replied to them personally and said, "I'm not sure if you're purposely lying or being taken advantage of by somebody lying to you. But as I've stated on here before, no one, in all caps, knows what's happening at DC Studios right now other than me and Peter. That would include writing up any new contracts for anyone at this point."
Yeah. Yeah, I'm interested to see what that means. I think a lot of people panic when they hear that because they're like, "Oh, so Henry doesn't have a new contract?" You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure the Henry stuff could have been done and was done before Gunn was announced because they had already filmed the scene. So there's a possibility that he has a contract already. But post Gunn, I could see that statement. But it's also a possibility Henry Cavill is just like, yeah, all right, I'm cool with it. But I just don't think that you leave I don't know. Cavill does seem to be somebody that really cares about characters and the source material, so he probably would have left Witcher either way. But I don't think that you leave a secure job like The Witcher, even if it's going to be really bad, if you don't got something going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Superman. So maybe it's a handshake agreement. Maybe it's because he has the same agent as The Rock, that there's also some stuff going on there. Because, you know, The Rock still has some power. I don't think he has that much power at DC. But, you know, there's probably something along those lines. But I'm glad that Gunn is definitely saying some stuff along those lines because these people need to be shut down, to be honest. I think I've said this on the podcast before. But, you know, as somebody who does YouTube, scoopers were my best friend at the time. But as a fan, I kind of really hate scoopers, to be honest. Like if I'm being 100% honest. Because they just ruin stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah. I will admit I have gone nose deep, head first, into like The Flash.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading everything, and I purposely didn't say anything to anybody because I know people want to be surprised with this.
Yeah.
Stuff. They want to talk about it, you know, when like they want to have the hype of when they see it for the first time. But I was on Reddit. Like I saw I was talking to people who have seen the screeners and things like that,
Yeah.
asking specific things. And the reason why I do that, I know that I have so much going on in my life. And now that I have a baby, partially sleep deprived, my memory of everything that happened in the Flash that I read about,
Yeah.
I can't remember half of it.
Nice. Yeah, I can't do that anymore because one, I feel like I have a decent memory, but when I hear stuff that's going to possibly be in a movie, I start like, I start headcanoning it. And if it's not going to be what I envision, I'm going to be like, it could have been better. You know what I mean? And I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And so I rather not know the secrets and stuff that might be happening. And granted, the only way I could truly do that would be stopping this podcast. But, at the same time, we try not to cover everything and every little bit thing. We're like, here's a rumor, but we don't dive into it. And then sometimes I just forget about some of that shit. And I'm like, all right, cool. Because I just don't care. And I try not to because I don't want to be, I don't want to be spoiled. And that's the reason why we're like, all right, I got to really stop seeing stuff after the first trailer because, the Batman really backfired on that for me, in my opinion. And so I wasn't really happy with that. Also, I guess we're going to cover Batman updates, but there's a lot of stuff coming out about what the second movie might be or the shows. And I'm just like, I'm not interested.
That's kind of our second topic, which is
yes.
the
I say we stay on the gun stuff though.
Okay.
First, because we're not done yet. We still have a little bit more of the gun stuff. But yeah, I don't know if you've ever checked this out, but I wish there was a website where, and maybe there is, and it's just not popular, that would like gather all of this information, right? And see which sites are the most credible sites out there when it just comes to like comic book stuff, not like everything. I don't know if there's a site like that. There is a site out there that you can check if a certain website leans a certain way politically, which I find is really interesting. Yeah, because I have mentioned this on the podcast, but that Bounding Into Comics is a right-leaning website. And I like to do my due diligence. And I'm like, okay, there's a lot. They say a lot of the buzzwords like woke and all this bullshit. And I'm like, this has to be like a right-wing or right-leaning kind of like website, right? And I was searching it up. I was like, I Google it. Is this a right-wing thing? And I went to this website that is like, I forget what it's called. And, but you can actually check if they lean a certain way or if they're more neutral. And I guess this thing gets all of the, just the headlines or whatever and the articles. And it kind of just, does an algorithm, I'm sure, and says like, oh yeah, it has all these buzzwords or whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I thought that was pretty interesting. So there are websites out there that will give out information like that, but there should be some that are just like wrong. Like, like if they just constantly throw out stuff, it should have like a really low score. And I think that would be really cool.
A friend of mine actually has like a letter tier list for a lot of scoopers and a lot of trade websites and things like that. I'll have to get with them to kind of see how he makes those judgments.
Yeah.
Or if he has something like that, or that he is just basically kept up with personal things and just being like, okay, 99% of the time, this person has been right or whatnot.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because nobody's going to be 100%, but like if you're like 80%, like that's pretty good, But like, we got you covered is probably wrong 90% of the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they do report stuff that is reported by others still to try to seem relevant or try to seem somewhat credible. But their exclusives or their scoops are 90% wrong all the time. So, again, I like that Gunn saying this. Some people would probably not prefer this kind of stuff. But, dude, we've had so much shit when it was the DCEU that I'll take any debunking all the time. Now, I'm just curious if we'll see him go after somebody like RPK or something like that have had a good track record and maybe they get knocked down a little bit or not. So,
ooh, that would be interesting.
You know what I mean? Because like RPK has a Patreon for that stuff.
But this is what I was going to say, because he has been correct before. Because again, people can be correct, but like you said, not 100%.
Yeah.
Do you, let's say you're Gunn, as Gunn, do you comment on something that is like partially true?
No. You only comment on the stuff that's wrong.
Yeah.
Because if you do the partially true stuff, then you give validity, you give partially validity to those people, and you don't want to do that. So you only correct the stuff that is outright, like an outright lie.
Yeah.
And if I was in Gunn's power, I would try to see who these people that were like, if there wasn't a lot of turnover, because we know there was a lot of turnover at WB, I would feed different people different stuff, like wrong things. I'm like, oh yeah, we're thinking about doing a Hawkman
We've talked
movie.
about that before.
Yeah, and I would see who reports shit and I'd be like, hey, I only fed you that information, so that means you're a leaker and you're fired. So I would do that shit because, like, I wouldn't want stuff to get out. I'm trying to surprise people. It's what we want to do. We want to bring magic in these movies, right? So fuck anybody that's trying to leak shit. So you gotta clear some people out sometimes. And if at the end of the day, look, everybody breaks the rules at their jobs most of the times. And usually, if you're the guy that never breaks your rule, you're the annoying guy at work. And we've worked with those guys before. I'm sorry, it's just the truth. I think everybody breaks the rules, even if it's in little ways. And as long as you're willing to take the consequences for the rules that you break. I broke a lot of rules at our old job, and I was willing to take the consequences. But luckily, I was one of the better workers. So I was like, fuck, we can't really do anything because he's fucking good worker. God damn it. So, you got to play the system. But anyways, the other thing that Gunn has going for him, or that he's mentioned, I should say, online, that people are kind of freaking out about, is that at the end of this month or early January, there is going to be the new DCU slate revealed to the WB executives, not to the public. But that makes my track record, my idea of San Diego Comic-Con 2023 is looking really good right now. So
I think it is going to be San Diego Comic-Con. I had even said there may be even a possibility of a tease at CCXP, which is coming up in the next few weeks in December. I think even that is too soon.
Yeah.
Now that Gunn has definitely said, yeah, I'm going to present this to WB, there's no way he's like, there may be like, oh, you guys are going to have a lot in store or something like that, but there's not going to be a tease to anything specific. But I have to ask you, we've talked about the possibility of there being and not being a Batman in the first phase. I don't know what Gunn is going to be calling these things. For this new DCU, do you think there is a Batman on the first phase?
I think you would be dumb not to have one. But what it comes down to is, do you even have a Batman? You know what I mean? Like, that's what matters.
Yes, but I just don't see them not having a Batman. Now, I understand the conversations we had last time with Zaslav making the statement there's not going to be 4 Batman in the DC universe, while also, having Gunn's statement of, oh, the Batman is under DC Studios, and then comparing that to his words of working on one giant story.
Yeah.
There's a lot of convoluting things in all of that. And we, as the audience, even though we're fans and we keep up with this stuff a lot, we are still very much in the dark about that.
Yeah. I think Gunn, I'm hoping he would do this, but I mean, it really comes down to what the overall plan is. But if they did an event at like San Diego Comic-Con, I wish they would be like, these types of films are going to be our black label. Like, we've talked about this before. Nobody's ever really officially said that, though. Yeah. But I wish he would be come out. Or you know what? What he should just say is the Batman, Elseworlds. Joker, Elseworlds. Because Elseworlds is a comic book thing. Like, we don't need to do Black Label. Be like, just Elseworlds. Our Elseworlds stories are going to be things that are not a part of this universe. They're on other planets or whatever. You know what I mean? Just say that.
I feel like, do you know what would happen then, though?
What's up?
I feel like fans would just start throwing out, and of course, Gunn will, of course, call them out if, this isn't actually happening. But fans would actually call for, if there is an in-game moment, a multiversal moment in the DC universe, Elseworld characters have played a part in crisis events in comics.
Yeah.
So people would want to eventually see the multiverse break or whatever and
Yeah.
have Pattinson, hang out with Henry Cavill or, vice versa and whatnot. So
Yeah, I mean, I wonder what they would do. Like, I don't know, but again, you just can't mesh those worlds because this Batman sucks compared to the Batman in the DCEU,
fucking Pattinson just like breaks through the multiverse
Yeah.
through a shatter in the multiverse and goes inside the DC universe, dies within 5
Yeah,
minutes.
he dies instantly. Like, holy shit. Like, Doomsday is there and he's like, what's this? Dead. Like, can't even dodge it fast enough. Like, that would be insane. I just don't see how you bring Pattinson into this without it looking goofy. It's just gonna be so tonally different. And that's the problem you get when you do the real. And we've had this conversation a million times. So yeah, I don't know what's happening there. I hope he announces that Joker and this other stuff. I cannot see those two directors falling in line to have their properties turned into a universal thing.
Yeah.
Like, I just don't see that happening. And this is one of the reasons why I didn't want the Batman in the first place to be separate from the DCEU at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And going forward, we need a Batman. And if you're going to tell me that like Affleck's our Batman going forward, he's going to be it. He's going to get his own trilogy, whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. That's awesome. And I think Affleck is perfect because you can do a trilogy and then he can die or somebody else can take the mantle because Affleck is older. Like it makes sense. But I mean, if they want to recast and have a younger dude, it'll be interesting. The one thing I'm very, very curious about, and we haven't heard anything about him in a really long time, but is Gunn gonna fucking put up with Ezra Miller? That's what I'm curious about.
I still think he is. I still think from what we had heard right before Black Adam came out, I want to say the last 2 weeks of September, we had heard that the rating of the Flash screeners was the highest they have had since I think
it was The Dark Knight.
Or Dark Knight, that's what it was.
Yeah. But everybody pointed out that so I think people lied. I think both sides are lying here. So they use that terminology a lot. The Dark Knight, as good as The Dark Knight. But a lot of media people are the ones that say that.
Yeah.
But it's never the screeners. So screeners are different than like reviewers being like, this is the best DC movie since The Dark Knight.
And also, it just so happened that they both got the same score, not necessarily that it is as good as The Dark Knight.
For sure. They're going to be very different movies. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I always said that they probably sat him down. They're like, you need to keep your fucking nose clean until this movie comes out or you're losing this damn job. And apparently the Flash is what gave him his Messiah complex. So if they're like, we're going to take away your fucking powers, he's like, no, you know what I mean? So maybe he's gotten in line. Maybe he's actually getting treatment. I don't really know. But I still think a lot of the stuff he was being accused of or had allegations about was really fucking sus when it involved children. So I just don't know what they're doing there. I don't know if they have a private investigator looking into him. Like, I just think that's kind of weird because remember, Gunn has said some shit about Jared Leto before. And Jared Leto has a weird ass past as well. And I think if this stuff that Ezra Miller was going through is kind of true, it would be kind of weird to have like James Gunn working with Ezra. You know what I mean? But this is also like a business thing and it's Hollywood, and Hollywood could easily be like, sorry, Gunn, you're going to have to just not worry about this, you know?
So I am looking it up now. I just did not a Google search. I did a Twitter search. I typed in Ezra Miller to see some of the most recent articles that are being shared. I'm clicking on the 2 tweets that have articles, but the articles are from either really early this year or late last year. So there has been nothing recently.
Because he's kept his nose clean. And this is what I said. He's just going to go away for a little bit and he's going to come back. If James Franco can come back and play a Latino in a fucking movie after he's had sexual assault allegations against him, Ezra Miller is going to be able to come back and be just fine. So, like, you know, what can you do? It's Hollywood. They don't give a shit. It's just as long as you haven't done it. Hollywood is a what have you done for me lately kind of business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you do like if you are just doing gangbusters at the box office, they do not give a fuck about what you do. And if you had a bunch of stinkers, then they're just like, I don't know, we can't really give you anything. We got this movie called Bright. If you want to direct that at Netflix, so what can you do? But yeah, so there's that. I'm excited to see what the slate is going to be, but I really want them. My main goal still stands, or my main statement about it is, you need to tell me what you're doing with Batman. That is the main thing.
Yeah.
Because I do not want to go into a future of the DCU without a Batman. That's fucking dumb. But I'm glad James Gunn has said that some of the most key people and the relationships he loves is between Batman and Superman. He loves them interacting. So I would be shocked if he didn't have a Batman.
Yeah, same.
So, pretty crazy. But moving on from that, we do have a bunch of Penguin updates. And to me, I'm just like, ugh, who's writing this show? Zdarsky? Because it is a bunch of stuff I've already seen because I covered the show Gotham for 4 years or whatever. And it seems like they're going to be doing the same kind of thing with a better budget.
Man, does that mean I'm going to like this show more than you because I haven't seen Gotham?
Probably. But here's the thing, though. Penguin was the best thing about Gotham. So
I could see that, yeah.
Because I think his name was Robin Lord Taylor.
Yeah.
Lord, something like that. He was the most consistent thing in the show. Unfortunately, just like the comic books, all Penguin did was rise to the top and fail to the bottom. Rise to the top, fail to the bottom. Gotham was a repeat show. Every person had a repeat fucking storyline. And the last thing I want to see is Penguin talking about his tragic past and his mom and all this bullshit again in a higher production budget thing. Like, I don't care. And so I'm already just not happy about the Penguin show. It might be different. It might be good, but it just kind of sucks because I've seen it.
I mean, also, we are 5-6 years separated from Gotham.
Probably 4 or 5, I would say. Not 6. Because damn, that'd be a long time. But I think it's like 4 maybe. But we are separated from it, but it's just like, how different is it really going to be? You know what I mean? Because so here's the thing. You're probably never going to watch Gotham unless we make it a challenge or something like that. But like what happens in that show was like, there was a long storyline. Like something happens to his mom in the show and it doesn't pay off for like another season or 2. And you're just like, that was awesome. Like that was actually good writing. Like, holy shit, I didn't know Gotham could do that. Yeah. And so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what they do. But here's the thing, man. We just saw a movie with Riddler and Batman, slow as fuck. And what was wrong with Riddler? He had a troubled past. He had, he was the guy on the internet. Now we're going to learn about Penguin, who has a troubled past, and his mom is whatever, Is that going to be every character in this fucking series? Is everybody going to be a sad, troubled villain?
Matt Reeves' trilogy is just going to be every character's one bad day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be terrible. Are we going to get the sad Joker comedian thing?
Oh, no.
Like, that would be so bad.
Is his third film going to be Killing Joke?
Probably. Wouldn't he's going to do the Red Hood gang, so you can see the mouth with the mask over it. I'm surprised nobody's done that in films yet. The bullet helmet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Obviously this gives you the chance to really like the show because you haven't seen Gotham, like you said.
Yeah.
But if I see shit that is similar, I'm going to be like, bro, because here's the thing. They're also like, we found out that they're casting a bunch of other people, right? Like the Falcone family. I don't know if there was a mention of Maroni or not.
It says Milos Grappa, Johnny Vitti, and Alberto Falcone will be in the Penguin.
Yeah. So essentially what they're trying to do, and this is exactly what I think Matt Reeves is trying to do. He's trying to make The Sopranos, but with Penguin.
I think so. It says
Yeah.
here, Alberto is an addict battling his demons, something that makes his job as the new head of the Falcone family quite difficult. He is a socialite in his 30s who is unprepared for his responsibility.
Which is the plot of fucking Godfather, if I'm not mistaken. Because the son is not ready to take over the Godfather role.
Yeah.
And you see him struggle through that. I haven't seen Godfather in a really long time. Feel free to correct me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what happens.
I have not seen the original in a while. Abby actually had to watch it for a marketing class.
All right. What kind of fucking marketing class is that?
I have no idea, but it's so funny because she never watches any movie that is like older than 1990.
Oh, God.
And she just doesn't like older movies.
Wow.
And so, like, hearing her quote The Godfather just randomly throughout the day is fucking hilarious.
Nice. Yeah, so I don't care about the Reeves verse, but I'm hoping it's going to be one of those things where I watch it and I'm like, God damn, you know what? Reeves is actually a really good director. And I'm not saying he's not a really good director. It's just I have a bad taste in my mouth. You know what I mean? It's like, have you ever had like bad sweet tea? Like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know how like bad sweet tea, like if they like burn the tea, you know, or they left it in too long, or the worst one is when it tastes like metal because they like clean the metal cylinder or whatever. Like, that's the worst too. Like that type of taste. That's what the Batman is right now for me. But I'm hoping, you know, the Penguin or Batman 2 is like a fresh pot of sweet tea that tastes delicious. So we'll see. Because my mind can be changed. But right now, don't give a fuck. So yeah, that's all the news that we got going on this week. I will say I had some really awesome news, and some people that are in the Discord or on my Twitter that follow me, I like collecting shit. I think it's the best. Like, collecting cool shit. I have a badass fucking Batman statue from Prime One Studios in my studio.
He bought on accident.
Yeah. Well, I meant to buy it, okay? I meant to buy it, but I never thought I was gonna get the one I wanted. So I was like, it's never gonna happen. Because I put on a wait list for an exclusive version. I didn't think it was gonna fucking happen. I did this while I still had a job.
He sent me the screenshot and he's like, "Yeah, I'll never get it."
Yeah.
And then what? A year later,
yeah.
You send me the text of the shipping. Oh god.
Yeah, it was nuts. So I bought if you guys are collectible fans out there, go to Prime One Studios. I bought the exclusive Batman Hush version, and it came with one of 100. I think it's like actually one of 999, or maybe it's like one of 100. I don't remember what it is, but there's not a lot made. And it is an exclusive head that is the like Hush mask partially coming off of Batman's cowl, and it looks really fucking awesome. And I was like, oh, these go fast because they're exclusives and nobody else is going to have them. Nope. I guess COVID, a lot of people were like, I can't fucking afford it. So they're like, this guy made a down payment. Whomp, and they gave it to me. I was like, oh. So anyways, I had made this tweet, which was crazy, a few weeks ago, that I was like, hey, Prime One Studios or Sideshow Studios, we need some more Batcat figures in the world because there's not really any good ones. And they've tried to do Batcat stuff before, and some of them aren't great. Like, they're kind of like they're like what are those ones that DC directed for a while, right? Like, they're kind of plain. They're not like colored well. And so some of the Batcat stuff just doesn't look great. And if you buy one of these like super expensive ones, the detail is fucking insane. So I'm watching their showcase. They do this showcase like twice a year. And they did one recently. And they showed Clayman's name. And I was like, no fucking way. I was like, we're getting a Clayman figure. Like, this is going to be nuts. And then it showed Phantasm's mask. And I was like, no fucking way. We're doing a Batcat. And then I thought it was just going to be a Phantasm figure. So I was like ready to just see a badass Phantasm figure because I love the animated series. Love Phantasm. Thought that was great. And then they show the cover. I think this is issue 2, not issue 1. They show issue 2 of Batcat, where it is Catwoman, Batman, and Phantasm in the back. They are making that statue, and it looks fucking phenomenal. Now, the only thing I'm worried about is I don't know if that's a 3-piece that connects to be 1 piece, or if that's going to be a solid statue.
I'm gonna go ahead and call it out. I'm looking at it now. It looks like a 4-piece, and why I
There's
say
no
4,
way.
it's the base,
The
and
base
then
comes with it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The
Yeah.
base is going to be its own piece, and then you place the characters
No,
on.
your character comes with the base. I'm talking about it would be like you buy Batman, you buy Catwoman, you buy Phantasm. You're getting a base no matter what.
Oh, no. So yeah, I'm thinking of parts, not
Yes,
necessarily.
I understand. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking about how you buy them.
I would say it's all one.
Because I think they started doing it in parts because you can buy that Joker and there's a Joker that he's in a chair with like a Batman's cowl in his lap or something like that and then you can put a punchline behind him, but I think you can buy them separate.
See, I just feel like that within itself, because I'm looking, and like I said, with it being possibly 4 parts with these characters attached to it, in my way of thinking, like I'm like covering up Batman and Phantasm. You could definitely just have Catwoman leaning on that little thing and being like, oh, I got a Catwoman statue.
Yeah.
You could do the same thing for Batman. And you could do kind of the same thing with Phantasm. It kind of looks a little awkward if she is like way up there and there's so much empty space below her. But I don't know, man. Because in that way, you could say, oh, it's going to be cheaper.
Yeah.
But I feel like for Prime Studios, that's going to be a huge headache.
Yeah.
You know, and having to make so many molds of each character in case people do it separately.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, they're probably going to get you with an exclusive somehow. And I don't know what those exclusives are going to be. But what always blows my mind with the detail of those characters is how you can take parts off and they just seamlessly work. Like I can take off Batman's hands and his head on this statue and replace them with other things, which is crazy. So there's obviously probably going to be like alternate like Batman heads or Catwoman heads. I know they already showed Phantasm's head changes. You can either have her with her red hair or with the mask on, which I think is pretty fire. So I think
like the maskless one too.
Yeah,
that would be kind of dope.
Pretty awesome. But I saw that shit and I was like, oh my god, that's easily going to be a $2,500 figure. It's going to be more than the one I have.
Oh yeah.
So I'm just like, god damn it. Because the only other one that's that high up that I really wanted was the year one motorcycle one. That Batman, that one looks awesome. But then I was like, okay, that fucking looks awesome. And then they're like, oh yeah, we also got the Hush version of Batcat if you want that. And I'm like, a what? So they have the like Catwoman putting her hand on Batman's mouth statue. I don't think it's as cool as the 3-piece that is Batcat, but it still looks fucking awesome. And I'm like, god damn it. They actually came through.
I don't know if I like the mold for Catwoman's face.
I agree with you. It looks weird, but if you look at the original artwork, it is kind of like that, though.
Really?
So they try to go off the original artwork.
That's Jim Lee.
Yeah, it's Jim Lee. So they're kind of going off of it. But Jim Lee's having a bunch of pieces done again. Like he's one of their main artists, I think. Besides, like they love George Jimenez now, right? Or as Savan would say in our comments, Jorge. Yeah. Jorge. We're Latino. We know. We just call him George, man. Yeah, how hard it is to constantly say Jorge all the time. Come on, Jorge.
George. And I'm looking at some more of these statues. I will be completely honest. The tactical throne looks pretty tight. That's it in the Batcave.
Yeah. Those monitors actually work. They move.
No fucking way.
So my Hush one that I have, I could turn it on. Like I could turn on a light and it's like, ooh, I never turn on the fucking light because I'm like, why do I want the batteries to go out? Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
But I was watching the video, the fucking monitors move and show shit. I'm just like, what? It's crazy.
That's fucking dope.
It's fucking nuts. And if you turn it around, there's a mini bat cave made into the back of the statue where he's near the Batmobile and he's like putting his costume on. Like the detail is nuts.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. If I ever get a lot of money, I've always wanted to send Clay one of these, but it's going to be Batman punching Superman. Because they have that. They have the Dark Knight one where Superman's just getting the shit punched out of him. I'll send him that. Hey, you got a Prime 1 studio. It's just Superman getting his ass beat. But anyways, if you guys are into collectibles, I highly suggest you go check these out. I posted them in Discord. I posted them on my Twitter. But that was some very happy news that came out for me as being a collectible lover. Also, I should point this out. I don't know if anybody saw it, and depending on when you're listening to this, if you wanted to get Gotham Knights for really cheap, it is 45% off right now, I think. So
yeah, I saw it with a Black Friday deal. It's
yeah.
$35 right now.
Yeah. So if you want to buy it really cheap, buy it now. I'm still gonna wait. So I have plenty of other games I need to play. I can't buy another story game until I beat Horizon Zero Dawn. Like, you know?
Same. I completely just like stopped playing that game.
Yeah.
I need to go back to it. Ragnarok is right there. It just came out.
Yeah.
For my brother was kind of talking to me like, "Hey, when are you gonna get the next Pokemon game so we can play?" I'm like, "God damn it! There's so many games right now,
man. It's just too much, and I'm just like, bro, I can't enjoy it." So I've been trying to play some stuff on stream, but at the same time, it's just like I also have games like Genshin Impact and Apex Legends and fucking all these other games. And Fall Guys just has a new season, which is awesome. So it's just like, oh damn. But anyways, let's move on to viewer comments. And we got a few coming on here. Savan had a bunch of comments this week, but the one I actually want to talk about is he says, "I actually don't like Ben Affleck as Batman. I'd like a new casting." And then somebody asked, like, who would you cast? He's like, I don't know. So like, so come on, Vasan, how are you gonna do there, man? Come on, you gotta have somebody in mind if you don't like Affleck.
It's very hard. We've talked about it, how some of the people that love to do fan castings and throw out a name, we could easily see them as a Batman, but not a Bruce. And then there's others that we could clearly see as a Bruce, but not a Batman.
Yeah. Yeah. I was, there was that rumor for a really long time that people were like, no. And I was like, I'd be down with it. Jake Gyllenhaal for the longest time. I would
that was that. I actually think it could work.
Mm-hmm. He is shorter though. I think he's like 5'10", I think.
But as far as like,
but so is I don't think what's his face is 6 feet, is he? Bale? He's pretty short, right? Pretty
Bale,
sure.
I don't
think
know.
Bale's 6 feet. I'd be wrong. I want to say he was a shorter Batman. Because Tom Hardy's short too, isn't he?
Tom Hardy. Oh, Christian Bale is exactly 6 feet.
Oh, okay. He's probably 5'11".
Robert Pattinson is 6'1".
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the best casting was, well, I don't know if this was the best casting, but the one I wanted the most was what's his face? That kind of, rumors are that he's a cannibal or some shit. What's his face?
Oh, Armie Hammer.
Yeah. That guy. I think he would have been great, and him and Cavill actually have chemistry on screen.
I mean, he was cast as Batman at one point, and then he just never got to see the light of day.
Yeah, so that would have been interesting. A lot of people said they don't know how they feel about was it blonde hair Batman or blue eyes Batman? Something like that. So,
I think they said blue eyes. You can't say blonde hair because freaking Val Kilmer was Batman.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't really take those movies into consideration though. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know who they would cast. I mean, dude, at this point, just fucking give me Affleck, dude. Give me the continuity. Like, just give me that. What else? We got Clay here. If Gunn decided to cut Zack Snyder some slack and let him direct just one DCU movie of his choice, what decision do you think would be best and why?
Juice already has his decision. He's said it so many times that I 100% agree.
Yeah, Green Arrow, 100%. Yep. I think it'd be fantastic. His direction, I should say his cinematography style, with the Green Arrow, I think would be phenomenal. And you can keep it low budget.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What about you? You same one?
I would 100% say
for the sake of the question, something different.
For being different. I would say give him. See, I like his grounded stuff. Watchmen, great. I would say give him, because of cinematography, I think he could do Wildcat from the JSA.
Okay. That would be interesting. You think they go like a boxing route?
Yeah.
Do all that. You think it's
like his
Rocky as superheroes?
Like his glory days, and then like how he gets into like the streets.
Yeah, that would be interesting. But I just don't think you beat Green Arrow. I think it's the best. Okay, Eduardo de la Cruz. I know Halle Berry's Catwoman solo movie flopped, but do you think a Catwoman deserves a second shot with Zoe Kravitz in the Reeves verse? If so, who should be the main antagonist? I 100% agree that she deserves her own movie or show. It should be a heist movie if they do a movie a la, Italian Job, Ocean's 11, something like that, where she puts a team together. And the antagonist, I would have said Black Mask because they have such a great history from the comic books. DCEU kind of fucked that with Birds of Prey, but they could always bring it back. Other than that, I don't know, man. It's been a while since I've seen Catwoman have a really good villain, and it's usually somebody that's Batman related. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And which kind of sucks. Because then you start going down the line of she can rob Two-Face, she can rob Riddler. I'm like, we've seen it all.
Well, I think what you could do here, because he does say specifically the Reeves verse. We know that Kravitz Catwoman is a Falcone, and so you make it a family affair.
So you just keep doing the Long Halloween, essentially.
Yes and no. You could do some twists on it for sure. Get a third party involved. Like you said, it does get a little complicated.
But she left Gotham.
Okay, then she didn't. I don't know if this actually happened because I still have not seen the Batman since we've seen it in theaters. But I am pretty sure at the end of that movie she mentioned Bloodhaven.
Yeah. So what? She's gonna go hang out with Nightwing?
No, she's gonna work for Blockbuster.
Interesting. I mean, there's one left in America, so she can go there. No, it's an Airbnb. I know what you're saying. I was like,
wait a minute. No, that's not what I'm saying.
Joke. You know what I mean? She just fucking leaves and works at a video store. That should be the movie. That should be the fucking movie. That would be a better series. You know what? And you know who should direct it? Kevin Smith. Because it would just be the perfect thing. Just have Catwoman working at the last Blockbuster. And you know what? The heist is she tries to keep it to go out of business. So she steals. She's like, I got to bring it back. That's what should fucking happen. But yeah, I do think Catwoman deserves a fucking movie. And I hope she get one. Because she was actually, I did enjoy her. As much as we shit on that movie that much, I think she was awesome. I would like to see her alone. Speaking of Catwoman, you know what I turned on the other day? I turned on that Catwoman movie with what's her face, Elizabeth Gillable, the one from Victorious.
The anime one.
Yeah, have you watched it?
I have not because I was super afraid of how bad it was.
It's anime, like they definitely shoot it that way. But here's the problem: I'm about 40 minutes into it, and I kind of like her voice as Catwoman. They're dealing with Leviathan, so that's the villain. The organization Leviathan. Batwoman's in the help in it. It's Batwoman and I guess the FBI or the Interpol or whatever. And so they're getting Catwoman in this. Watching this movie, it's not the best. She says this one line when she's at the party multiple times. She's all like, make sure you take care of that or I'll steal it. She says it 4 or 5 times, in this party. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is bad. But I was surprised DC let this slide. And maybe I'm wrong because DC's kind of let their animation studios do a lot of stuff. But there's a scene when Catwoman's going to take a bubble bath. And Batwoman is watching her. And she's all like, oh, maybe we should see what's under the mask. And she takes off Batwoman's cowl. And you see it not Cassandra Cain, Kate Kane. And she has short red hair or whatever. And Catwoman drops her towel. And she's all like, the tub's big enough for 2. And Kate Kane is kind of getting all flustered. She's like, well, maybe. And she's like, sorry, cats bathe themselves. And she's like, I'll go watch in the cockpit or whatever and stuff like that. So there was a scene and they almost kissed and shit. I'm just like, this is very anime. And I'm just like, all right. And I was like, maybe I should keep watching this film then. But yeah, I got that far. And I was just like, it's still not the best thing. But I was just surprised. I wasn't expecting that because they kind of let Catwoman really be Catwoman. which I was just like, huh, interesting. They didn't shy away from the, the bisexuality of Catwoman either, which I thought was really cool. So, and they did it with a bisexual character that's already gay. I mean, not bisexual, but a character that was already gay, which is nice. So, that was kind of what happened. But it'll probably take me days to finish that film. Because I just put it on in the background. Like when I watch something Batman, you don't know how many times that I just want to switch it to the animated series. Like I just want to go to the animated series again. I'm just like, whoop, swip it back. Cause like, it's just right there on the app. And, but to say this, I picked that Catwoman movie over watching the Batman again. So just saying. What else we got next? We got a comment from Nathan. How could Batman permanently stop the Joker without killing him?
I saw there's being replies, so I checked it out.
Yeah.
And Monk Cray says, have him become a stepfather. If you know, you know.
Jesus. All right. What do you have an idea for this?
Put him in a coma.
Oh, okay.
Batman has done enough training.
Yeah.
He knows enough pressure points. He knows enough about the body. I'm pretty sure Bruce Wayne, Batman, knows exactly what to do to put somebody specifically in a coma.
Yeah, probably. If it is just to stop the Joker, if we're talking just Batman, just Joker, stop being Batman. That's it. That's all you do.
That is,
and
also
Joker wouldn't care. He would just be like, "Oh, well, this sucks." And there, that's unfortunately the way you stop something. You stop feeding the fucking virus, and he goes away. Next up, we got Jason Todd, who stopped by the stream this week. What's up, Jason Todd? Welcome. I appreciate you coming by the stream. Try this one on for size. Who would win? Batman versus Kingpin, Solomon Grundy versus Rhino, Dr. Octopus versus Mr. Freeze. If I'm not mistaken, Solomon Grundy can't die or is already dead, right? I always get that confused.
He is technically already a zombie. He is a zombie. He is already dead. But as far as like winning doesn't necessarily mean killing, but these are villains, so they would definitely try to do their damnedest. I would say Bane and Kingpin, surprisingly, I think would end in a draw. Like they would. I think Venom? They would with Venom.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you got on the next ones?
Solomon Grundy and Rhino. I do think Solomon Grundy would win that fight.
Yeah, I agree with that. And what about the last one?
This one is very interesting just because they are both scientists. They're both very intellectuals, big intellectuals. And they both are very particular about like what they get involved in. So it'd be very interesting to see why they would be fighting in the first place. But I think I would probably have to give that one to Mr. Freeze.
Really? Okay. So I have differ here. I go Bane. I think Bane over Kingpin a little bit. I do think that's probably the most evenly matched matchup here, personally. But I'd go Bane. Then I would go Solomon Grundy easy. I think he just destroys Rhino. But Doc Ock and Mr. Freeze is really interesting because it depends on how fast is Mr. Freeze and how powerful are the the freaking octopus arms, right? Because I feel like he could probably, like, if Mr. Freeze starts freezing one side of Doc Ock, he still has the other arms to come hit Mr. Freeze. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like Doc Ock might have the speed advantage to take out Freeze. And also, I think we've seen people break through Freeze's, like, anything he freezes before. Like, that's been done before, right? Like, they break it, whether that's heat or they just have raw strength to break ice. And I feel like the claws from the Octo thing would break ice. So I would give that to Doc Ock, to be honest. So that's kind of how it is. So we differ on that. But I think Solomon Grundy is probably the only one we both agree on. Because, like, I don't know. Rhino, I think it also depends on what version of Rhino are we getting. You know what I mean? Because there's been some shitty versions of Rhino. So who knows? But I would go with that. Next up, we got Anthony Morales. What are your guys' favorite Batman the Animated Series episodes? Mine are The Man Who Killed Batman, Almost Got Him, Heart of Ice, Robin's Reckoning, and I Am the Night. Do you have favorites?
I do. I
Okay.
haven't finished it. Of course, there is 4 seasons. I think HBO Max only has 3 seasons. Because I think technically, on a technicality, season 3 and 4 is considered Batman and Robin, the animated series, or
I think
Batman and Robin Adventures.
You'd have to look into it, but they might have both of them merged into one season.
Okay.
So it's a possibility. I don't remember though.
So my first favorite, looking at the list on HBO Max currently, is Lock Up. I think
good episode.
That is quite possibly one of my favorite episodes. It's such an interesting, like, how one of the inmate, I think it's Blackgate. It's sorry, the guard at Blackgate.
It's Arkham.
It is Arkham.
Yeah, okay. It's because it had a lot of the villains when they go to court. But I mean, I don't think Blackgate's used that much, if at all, in the animated series.
Oh, okay.
So,
but I just like that one of the guards basically kind of was somewhat influenced by Batman, but doing it the completely wrong way. You know?
Yeah.
So I really, really enjoyed that. And I'm really surprised. I thought that we had possibly seen somebody like Lockup in comics, but I don't think he's been in canon before. And I would really like to see that.
I think a lot of people...
We thought the guy from Tynan's Run was going to be like Lockup, because remember, he was a guard, and then he ended up being Peacekeeper 1 or whatever his name was.
Garbage. No, so Lockup, I think, is a character that is really cool, but I think also a lot of people get him confused with the Executioner.
Yeah.
Or Electrocutioner. I don't know what his real name is, but it's something along those lines. They used him in Gotham, and I thought that guy was going to be Lockup, but nope, they didn't use Lockup either. I'm just like, bro, y'all are missing out on a really good character here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good one. What else you got?
I got a Bullet for Bullock. When
that's a good
there's a hit on his head or whatever, like somebody's
I just saw that like a few nights ago.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a really good one.
Another one of my favorites is, I'm trying to see if I can find the title of it. It's the one where the Joker is basically like he like one dude basically like had road rage with Joker.
Yeah, it's like a favor for something, I think, or something like that, or the Joker's favor, or I forget what it's called.
I can't remember the...
I think it's in season 1 or season 2.
Joker's favor. Yeah. Season 1.
Yeah, that's a really good episode as well. Especially when that guy goes crazy at the end. He tries to shoot Joker or whatever. And I think it's really, really cool. So it's hard for me to pick favorites because I love that whole fucking series. But I will say the ones that I do watch a lot, I love Grey Ghost. Absolutely one of my favorite episodes. Yeah. Love Grey Ghost. 2, I think it's Harley's Bad Day, or Harley's Day Out, I think it might be called, where she gets out of Arkham. She goes and tries to buy a shirt, and they forget to take the tag off because she just leaves. And then the alarms go off and she freaks out. She puts on her costume again, and she ends up stealing like Bruce Wayne's date for the day, Veronica Freeland.
Yeah.
And they're racing through the city, and Veronica Freeland's dad is an army sergeant. He's like following her with a tank and shooting missiles at her and shit. And like, it's really good. And at the end of the episode, it ends with Batman saying like, I had a bad day too, and I hope you can get like better. And then she ends up like making out with Batman. He's like, oh, and everybody's like, whoa. And it's crazy because Ivy's in it too. And Ivy's watching it happen. So I'm just like, that was before the whole like Ivy relationship. But I think that was a really good episode. And then I'm trying to think of one of the other ones. I think obviously Heart of Ice, I just feels like a given because that's such a good episode. But man, I feel like there's so many good episodes. There's like some good Catwoman episodes in there as well, and I'm forgetting the titles of them. But I also like the it's kind of stupid, but the casino one when Joker.
Oh yeah,
like that one's just kind of random, and it's not like the best episode, but I kind of like it just because it's random and silly. Fucking actually, no. The one that's the most random and silly that I love is the Joker Christmas episode when he's like taking
I
over
was
the
literally
TV.
looking at it right now.
Yeah. When he takes over the airways and stuff, because he's like Batman smell. He like sings a song and shit.
One that I actually had specifically on VHS that I basically destroyed the VHS from watching it too much was "If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich?"
Which one's
The
that?
introduction to Riddler in the series. That's the one. That's the one with the maze and the
Oh
Minotaur.
yeah.
Yeah, where
Oh
Robin
fucking
played the game or whatever.
Yeah. Fucking Clock King's episode too. I fucking love that episode. That episode's so good. There's just too many. I love the whole series. It is fucking great. Anyways, if you haven't seen it, you're crazy. You should watch it. Ask for it for Christmas. So yeah. Anyways, we got Alexis Barrera. What if Nolan's Batman had to deal with Matt Reeves' Riddler? What would have been okay? Would it have been easier or harder time catching him, and why? Probably easier.
I would probably say easier.
Yeah. I mean, with all the stuff he did to catch Joker, like if he used the same stuff, he'd get him quick. Because Joker wasn't really using online shit, and this Riddler was. So Batman would probably find that connection. Also, I want to say that Nolan's Batman actually did a little bit more detective than this Batman.
We didn't really, yes and no. I will go ahead and like kind of play devil's advocate here, because the most detective stuff we've seen from Nolan's Batman, like specifically like the audience sees it and like, oh, that's detective work, is at the beginning of Rise. I feel like now there is hints and little things that is like, oh, of course you're deducing things and whatnot in The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
But like, I feel like that was a huge criticism in probably the first two movies, and Nolan was like, here, I'll make it clear as crystal for the third movie.
Well, in the second one, he goes and does all the detective shit about the bullets that are being shot.
That is true. I completely forgot about that.
He goes and he takes out the wall, and he does all the science bullshit of ricochets and all that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So he does a lot. It's just not as prominent. It's not as in your face and taking 2.5 hours like the Batman, where he's walking to each scene to, go do detective work. And also Alfred wasn't solving everything for him. So like, there's that. But last thing we got from Moncray, and I got to make a disclaimer here for this particular comment. Do not send us your pitches, guys. This is a rule that comic writers have to deal with. It's for safety reasons. They can't read your pitches, and like, we want to be writers someday, so we probably don't want to read your pitches either. I will read this one here just for the sake of the comment, but I wanted to put a disclaimer out there because
Moncray is gonna like see a comic issue written by Juice one day and he's like, that's my fucking idea. I'm suing his ass.
You use a character I talked about in the comment section one time. And like, you know what I mean? But yeah, just don't send your pitches. If you have just like, oh, it'd be cool if this happened, we could. But comic pitches we cannot read just for future safety reasons. But this does say from Moncray, what do you think about my pitch from Condiment King? Due to the rising popularity of masked heroes in Gotham, a local restaurant franchise decides to capitalize on this by a new mascot, the Condiment King. After some drama, the new guy playing him gets replaced and goes broke and divorced. In retaliation, he decides to go on a crime spree, squirting innocents all over to ruin the image of the company. Batman's able to catch up and stop him. Can't wait to see this in the Reeves verse. So I like that it's a joke on the Reeves verse. That would probably be what would happen in the Reeves verse. But as just as a pitch in general, here's the thing. And this is a problem I have with a lot of people that think that every character has to be dark and brooding and sadistic and fucked up, right? Like that's how everybody thinks every character becomes great. Because I think that's what, we saw from Nolan, right? Like, oh, this Joker's crazy or whatever. And so every Joker had to be more and more fucked up and more crazy, right? And it's just like, dude, like some of the best Joker is not that crazy. He's just wacky and silly. But it's what everybody does. And I think a lot of writers I know Gail Simone has had an issue with that. She's like, why does everybody have to do this? Like, why is it always so ridiculous? And I kind of agree. People like Condiment King, which I think it was Greg Rucka that redid Condiment King and made him in the black suit with the red and yellow underwear and boots.
Yes,
I
believe
want to say it
so.
was Greg Rucka. He was like, "Oh, this guy could actually be pretty crazy because he can actually use spices and different stuff to actually fuck people up." And I'm like, Condiment King is not supposed to be a character that is that people are scared of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's supposed to be that doofy person that people are like, really? You're trying to be a superhero? Like, this is so fucking lame. Like, nobody should be intimidated by the Condiment King. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so this one where he's like going around squirting people with all this stuff, somewhat annoying. But he gets replaced, he goes broke, divorced, all of that kind of stuff. Like you're just trying to make him like super, super crazy and sad and whatnot. And I just don't know. I'm not a big fan of those. But I could see Reeves making fun of it in his verse. Then again, I don't know. There probably wouldn't be much comedy in there, anyways. But
True.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what you think about it.
I mean, I like the pitch. I feel like there has to be, unfortunately, as we are seeing in comics at the end of this year and of course next year, is that every single one of Batman's villains needs that one bad day.
Yeah.
That finally makes them break. And I would like to see, I don't know, because from what we see, Joker had that one bad day. But is there somebody who has just been evil? Like, is there a Jeffrey Dahmer in the Batman universe?
King was writing one. Remember that kid? A lot of people kind of forgot about that kid. That one crazy kid who wanted his life to be like Bruce Wayne.
Oh,
and he just fucking killed his parents. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there was a follow-up issue to that, but I don't think he kept fleshing it out. So I think it was just like a random one-off character. So yeah, King's created a fucked up kid like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think and that's what I hate too. Like that was my biggest gripe with Endgame and Infinity War. They were trying to make fucking Thanos like relatable. And I'm like, dude, I don't want to be relatable to this fucking guy. He wants to destroy half of the universe. Like, the hell? So like, I don't know. Like, I feel like if you were relatable to Thanos, you got to go to therapy. Because that's just some fucked up stuff.
It was in Tom King's run, it was issue 38.
Okay. Yeah. So I remember that story for sure. But yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I don't think every character needs to be sad and depressing to have a bad day or whatever. But we've said it on the podcast before. Everybody's trying to make their version of Killing Joke. It's what everybody tries to do, and it's like not every character needs to be that way. If you want to do an Elseworld story and do some of that with some of these characters, that's fine. But I don't know, man. Sometimes I think the wacky characters are the best. Look at what Tom King was able to do with fucking Kite Man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The guy might get his own show now, which is crazy because they kept him wacky. Granted, Tom King added a fucked up tragic past to him. But he's still wacky Kite Man. You know what I mean? And so it's pretty cool. But yeah, I don't think that every character needs to like, because they could have tried to make like Tom King, yes, gave him a reason to hate Riddler, but which is like a tragic thing. But he didn't make him like some badass character that came in and like his kites had machine guns on them and he dropped bombs on people and stuff. You know what I mean? He was still like, he still sucked. Like Kite Man still sucked. And like, that's what you need to do. You don't need to make him super like crazy. So yeah, so that's all the comments. I don't know. Did we have anything in Discord?
We had a few in Discord. Charlie asks, what's your favorite holiday themed Batman special? Whether it be
is it a
comic, animated series. I really enjoy the 2004 The Batman cartoon where they do Mr. Freeze like in the wintertime, like the Christmas themed one. You get like the snowy white suit and it looks really, really cool.
For Batman?
Yeah.
I can't take a white suit in Batman serious anymore because Kevin Smith fucking ruined it. So, because I'm pretty sure he's wearing a white suit when he does the DD joke. Yeah, or whatever that fucking sex joke that he makes that is fucking awful. So cringe. I'm pretty sure he's wearing a white outfit in that suit, and it just doesn't look good in my opinion. And plus Batman, like black cow Batman or blue cow Batman in snow just looks so much better.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, I'm not a fan of that. But yeah, there's that. What else we got? Arwitz, would you be interested in a Batman movie that focuses on Bruce's training to become Batman? If so, how would you go about doing the movie? Also, never actually puts the suit on. Y'all had some comments to this. Charlie says, LOL Bruce, the movie. And you said, so like every MCU Phase 4 TV show and movie. I don't relate to that. I don't watch those.
So I'm saying it for the fact that like recently, because they want to make the theme or they want to make the show like interesting and they want to have you, the viewer, watch every episode.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these characters won't like put on the suit until like episode 4 or like episode 8 or 9, like near the end.
Yeah.
These shows for the MCU are anywhere from 6 to 9 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot like, and I think that's kind of popular. The third act, the hero puts on the suit and kicks ass or whatever.
But it's formulaic. That's boring.
It is formulaic. And for doing this, you would basically I don't know. It would be like a weird like Jason Bourne movie. That's all it would be.
I would not want to see this. Because this was Gotham. Gotham.
I knew you were gonna bring it up. I knew you were gonna bring it up.
Well, because I fucking hate it. Like, it's just so bad. And here's the thing. I'm assuming the Bruce movie would probably be somebody that actually looks like a grown man doing this.
Yes.
Over
but that
time.
kid was fucking tiny.
Yes.
Through every season.
Yeah. And he went to go train for like an episode or two, and then he was good enough to fight. And I was like, what? It was fucking ridiculous. And that's what Gotham tried to be. It tried to be, this young Bruce becoming a Batman. And it was just so terribly done. So no, I don't want to see it. And also, again, we've said this, when you do that kind of shit, you need to do it so well. Zdarsky just showed how he absolutely failed at it. His version of trying to tell before Batman was so bad, in my opinion, and he tried to change things that should have never been done. Bruce Wayne never needed to shoot somebody, Zdarsky, but you had it happen. Oh, because nothing else could have happened. He's Bruce Wayne, he's Batman. Like, he can do things. This is where you build that. Like, it makes no sense. So, yeah. Anyways, so no, I don't want to see the Bruce Wayne movie. Unless he, I'll see it on a different website where Catwoman's involved. I'll see that movie. But yeah, anyways, so let's move on to comic books. We only got 3 books this week. One of them, actually, I don't know, 2 of them pretty good, but one of them phenomenal when it comes to Batman, in my opinion. I don't know how you felt about it.
It's funny you say that because Batman is involved and he's not involved, which is hilariously great.
Yes. Let's dive into the Human Target number 9. I wasn't expecting this out of this book. Like, I felt like, we have 3 issues after this, but I was like, Batman does have to show up at some point. And, King has no problem using Batman in all of his stories. So I was like, of course Batman's going to show up. But to get this version of a story about Batman was phenomenal.
But I also feel like this is the easiest way to make sales midway through your series.
What do you mean?
Okay, so the cover that I have seen for this particular issue that has been advertised was the one where you see the Human Target, the silhouette of Batman.
Yeah.
You put that out there, like even looking at the other two, the first one that I saw, the poppy, like almost serial killer-esque like title. That one has nothing to do with Batman, but the next one does. So you had 2 covers with Batman. People are gonna pick that up so fucking fast because Batman is involved.
Yeah.
And then you read it, and people are like, "Where's Batman? Where's Batman? Where's Batman? Where's Batman?" But when you finally realize the whole reason or the whole purpose of this fucking book is to not put Batman in it,
Yeah.
this was great. And
Yeah.
it gives you into the mind of what the criminals have to deal with every fucking night in Gotham.
Exactly. This is the perspective I wanted to see in the Suicide Squad movie. I wanted to see, because remember that original pitch that was apparently it was going to be from the perspective of what like the Suicide Squad people thought of Batman and how they were
Yeah.
all scared of him, and I was like, that would have been a really good movie, like because then Batman's technically the villain in their eyes, which I think
Yeah.
is kind of cool. And of course, we never got that, but this was awesome because the whole book, to summarize it very quickly, is Chase and Ice running from something. And Chase just has this inner thought process, this inner monologue going the whole time. And he's like, he would know. Like, he has to know. Like, there's just no way. He was like, I'm good, but he's better. And like, he's talking, they're like driving, and Ice is like, where are we going? And he's like, we're just getting out of the city, going as far as we can go. And she's like, okay. She's just kind of going with it. Well, I should say, this book starts off with Chase dead at the start of the book.
Yeah, he Ice wakes up and she has a very terrified look on her face. She does CPR, and the next thing we see is him in the Justice League headquarters.
Yeah, the
with
infirmary or whatever.
yeah,
it's called.
with Sandman again. Or no, Our Man. Sorry, not Sandman.
Yeah.
Is it Sandman?
One
Our
of
Man.
those.
One of those.
Or is it Dr. Knight?
Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Dr.
Okay,
Midnight.
yeah, Dr. Midnight. All those
and
old cool names.
And that's when, like, I was really confused by the inner monologue here because I didn't know who he was talking about, or if he was talking out loud, or what was going on, or if this was somebody else's perspective that we weren't introduced to yet. It was very, very odd. But once you actually get into the book, it is a great concept. We get to a point where they're in a diner, and you immediately understand who he is talking about.
Yeah.
He doesn't say his name. He doesn't say his name in the entire freaking book until the very end.
Yeah, which was perfect. So yeah, they're in this diner because they stopped to get some food or whatever. And Ice still doesn't really know what's going on. She doesn't know where they're going or whatever. But he's all like, he would know I would stop here. This is exactly, he would know my patterns. He would know that we need to get something to eat. And he was like, so he has to be watching. And there's this guy like eating at the end of the bar. And he's like, it's him. He's a master of disguise. And I think he's like not as good as me, but he's good or something like that.
Yeah.
Because we all know that Chase pretends to be people. Like, so you would expect him to be better at that in particular, at least. And he was like, but I know it's not him. And then he goes and tells this guy, he's like, all right. He was like, what are you waiting for? He was like, let's just get this over with. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about, buddy. And he was like, I'm tired of this. And then he like steps to the guy, and the guy's like, what are you going to do, man? Like, what's going on here? And so they're about to fight. And so the guy, I think, hits Chase first, right? And then he comes back. He's like, I got to absorb the first hit. And then he knocks him out with one punch, because like that's the ongoing joke, right? Like it's like one punch kind of thing with Batman. And after he knocks this guy out, everybody's like, oh my God. And like, because this dude just gets laid out on the first shot, and Chase comes to his senses. He's like, basically after the adrenaline, I realized that punch didn't hurt that much. And like Batman would fucking knock you out, you know what I mean?
No, but then he was like, this was all part of his plan.
Yeah.
He's so paranoid. He's like, it's all part of his plan. He knew that I would be here. He knew that I would think that he was here. So he planted somebody. And I'm just like, how the fuck do you convince somebody, hey, by the way, you're going to probably get punched by somebody, but do it for justice.
Yeah. Yeah, so it is insane. And so they start running, and like he won't tell Ice where they're going. And then so she makes a freaking puddle on the side of the road, and they slide off the highway, and they like freaking go, and like the car gets fucked up, right? So they can't drive anymore. And they're like, oh, we don't die. But he would know Ice would do this. Maybe Ice is working with him. Maybe this is part of their plan to get me out here very far away. Like, he's so paranoid.
He is paranoid, and I think more so he starts to calm down on the idea of Ice not working with him, right?
Yes.
And this is where he gets real with her, because it was right before the diner, I think, or right after the diner, where he finally says it. He's just like, "Oh, I didn't tell you the truth about the poison. It actually is going to kill me, and I have 4 days left." Like
Yeah.
he just says it really quick, and she's like, "Oh shit, okay."
Yeah, which I'd have to go back and read it, but I was always under the impression that she knew he was dying.
I I have to go back as well because I
Yeah.
thought the same, but I think he just said that he was poisoned. Like,
Ah,
and
okay.
it could have been like she didn't know, like, okay, you were poisoned, meaning you're not poisoned anymore. It
Yeah.
could be one of those mentality
Yeah,
things.
I guess so. Or he could have
But
just said, like, "I'm dying," but she could have thought more, like, in the way of, like, cancer, where it's gonna take a while instead of being like, "Oh, yeah, I got, like, 5 days."
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah,
Uh
I thought that was weird, though.
and he tells her the story of how he got his name, just doing a whole lot of training and, basically being the human target with a lot of scenarios, and he got made fun of for it. And,
Mhm.
eventually it got to this phrase of like, "Oh yeah, let the human target go,"
Yeah.
uh, and we get to a point where they just start walking in the desert, and they're like, "Huh, we'll just stay here." Ice makes this giant house very similar to her own home
Yeah.
uh in the city, and as soon as she walks in with him, uh she asks him, she says, like, what, like, why are you so paranoid? What's going on?
Yeah.
Who? And then he immediately has the thought, she's working with him. This
Yeah.
is this is it. He's again super paranoid. And he says, basically, I'm in trouble. He says we, and then he says, I am
Yeah.
in trouble. Because, technically they both committed murder
Yeah.
of Guy Gardner. But he doesn't want to cause blame, and he doesn't want to start an argument. So he's like, he puts it all on him. And he basically says, like, I'm good, but there's people better than me.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, who's better than you? And he says, Batman. And this is
Yeah.
the first time Batman's name is mentioned throughout the entire book. It's almost over at this point.
Yeah.
And all she says was shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's awesome. And then he goes on to, like, say more stuff and, like, he talks about his dad. He's like, "I didn't wanna be like my dad," and blah, 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 and we kinda get that. And then she's just like, "Oh, well, that kinda sucks, but, like, hey, there's a bed. Like, do you wanna go?" Like, you know what I mean? Like, she's just like, "I don't give a fuck. Like, who cares?" And so, it's just more of him pondering at the end of it. She's going to sleep or whatever, and he's just like, he's not here. Like he doesn't know I'm here. And the only reason why he wouldn't know I'm here is if he knows Guy Gardner's not dead.
Yeah, so I
I'm
want to read.
confused.
I'm so fucking confused, but let me read this dialogue here. So
Yeah.
he wakes up. He says, outside the desert is empty for miles, a whole day, and we're alone. He's not coming. He's not out there, which means only one thing. He saw through the video and checked it out and assumed the JLI were up to their usual nonsense and decided not to interfere. He left us alone because he figured out Guy Gardner is still alive.
I,
What?
yeah, I don't know. I don't know how you pull that off.
Drew's gonna be happy.
Yeah. Well, Drew already kind of assumed because he talked to Mitch Gerard.
That's true.
Jared's
Yeah, yeah.
whatever. So like it'll be interesting. Drew actually liked this issue as well. He said he was like, Tom King does a lot of things. He was like, but he always knows how to write Batman. So, which I agree with. And I don't know how other people don't. But other people are stupid. So, yeah, I don't know. It'll be very interesting to see how they pull this off. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like, again, I think this is really good because if Guy Gardner's alive, I want to know how King is going to explain this. And again, it's one of those things where you're on a line, King. That's on a line because like I cannot wait until we can talk about 130, man. Because there is some shit where you toe a line and then you jump the shark. And I'm just like, I don't think this could be a jump the shark moment, but it will be one of those things like, I don't fucking buy that. You know what I mean?
It's gonna be very interesting to see the explanation
Yeah.
because it was clear as crystal
Yeah.
what ended up happening. Now, if it ends up that like the human target was in on it all, and it actually wasn't Guy Gardner who poisoned the human target
Yeah.
on accident, and that it was actually Ice, like, I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, I mean, that still doesn't explain how Guy Gardner died or is alive.
But what, like, again, the Green Lantern cannot do this. The constructs cannot do this. But what if it was a construct?
I wouldn't know. I'm not the biggest Green Lantern person, so
Like, I
if
would
you
be
say it's Green Lantern magic, I believe it because I don't know a lot.
Well, but the thing is, when you think of a Green Lantern construct, it is green. It is energy. It is not a solid human being that can also fake blood that Ice and the human target Chase cleaned up.
Yeah. Can't be Clayface, which a lot of people use that fucking thing all the time. Why would Clayface be here? Yeah, it'd be, I just don't know. Is she somehow, there is one thing, right? There is
I
one
think.
thing
Well, go ahead. Yeah.
that she cleaned up the crime scene.
Mm-hmm.
Is she able to put things back together? You know? Because he was the one who was like, "Did you clean it?" She was like, "I cleaned it down to like the microscopes or whatever."
I don't think you can put a body back together like that.
Comic books,
again,
but you know,
comic book logic.
yeah.
But like, if you slice off somebody's head, and then like, because remember, Chase punched Guy Gardner in the face as he was frozen.
Yeah, and he shattered.
And his brain shattered into a million pieces.
Yeah.
Like,
it's gonna be tough. I don't know how he does it.
But now I definitely think that I think that Ice was the one that attempted to kill Lex Luthor.
Yeah, it could be one of those, which would be a very classic noir trope, right? You fall in love with the damsel, or the, what do they call her? The femme fatale. And she ends up betraying you, which would be a great, I mean, it's still a good story. Like it's the classic, like, good guy saves, girl. But in noir, it's always the woman's always the worst villain in the show.
Yeah.
So it would be a very classic trope. Again, we say this every time. If you make me interested enough to read the issue alone by itself without even the cliffhanger was phenomenal. Like, if you are a Batman fan, you should read this issue, because this is how Batman should be viewed. And it's a good, I call it a perspective comic, because you're reading the perspective of somebody who is scared of Batman. And I think that's really good. Now, not to get confused with how Tom King writes his books as the perspective of, you're supposed to read it as the character would, which this is exactly what that is. But a lot of people don't understand that about his Batman run, is they're like, oh, it was boring, or it was whatever. I'm like, but that's what Batman would be thinking right now. Like, the nightmares, you were supposed to be experiencing that. That's why it was so, like, discombobulating. You're just like, what the fuck's going on here? Because Batman was going through it. And a lot of people don't really understand that from Tom King. But phenomenal issue. Probably one of the best from that run, and this run's been phenomenal for Human Target.
Now, here's the thing. I know you're going to be biased, but I'm going to go ahead, because I am currently doing research for our annual top 10 Batman books of 2022. I'm going to go ahead and ask the audience, do you guys think that we can put this book on that top 10 list?
Ooh, yeah, it'd be interesting.
Because here's the thing. Last year, I'm pretty sure just for you, I put Tom King books on the list that weren't necessarily Batman, because we talked about Tom King.
But they involve Batman.
Most of them, I believe, maybe one did,
because it was Strange Adventures. I don't even know if that made my top 10 though.
Yeah. It did involve Batman, and on the issues that heavily involved Batman, I added them. But it wasn't necessarily a Batman title.
True.
I'm going to go ahead and ask the audience, because I know this is already making Juice's top 5. If
Maybe
out
I
out
have to
of
look
this
at the
year,
list. I have to
out
look at
of
the
this
list.
year, I think it might.
Well, okay, it depends though. Are we doing, because I've done this in the past? I mean, this is, by the way, guys, if you don't know what we're talking about, we do an annual top 10 list of our favorite Batman books, and it's the last episode of the year. So this will be the episode after Christmas. But last year I included The Killing or the Three Jokers as a series as my, I think, top book.
Yes.
So are we doing series to where, like, you know, there is that one particular series that has been great all year that had a few, you know, that could, or is that one book or is that multiple books? Because technically that series started last year, if I'm not mistaken. So
no, the first issue, we're thinking the same one, aren't we?
yeah, Catwoman, right? Are we not?
Oh, I was thinking of the backups of Detective.
That's a great series too.
Yeah.
Okay, well, see, here's the thing though. Is that a Batman book?
It was in Detective. That's a Batman
It
book.
technically is in Detective, but the story itself doesn't really involve Batman until the very end.
No, every issue has Batman
in it. I thought he's like, I guess the first couple issues. No, I think the middle one he's like running from because Batman's technically not Batman.
Yes, but that is a Batman character. Like it is.
True.
He is portraying Batman.
Yeah.
I think the second to last issue is the only one that doesn't have Batman in it completely. The one with Killer Croc.
No, because that's when they capture him.
The one before that, when he is like actually.
Remember, that's the one we didn't like the most. That's when they're in the sewer and they get captured, and then we find out all the exposition or whatever after.
Yeah.
You know, so then he would be in all of them. But yeah, I don't know. Let the audience decide. I think this is a great story, but there's been a lot of good one-shot books. Everybody's forgetting about. Let's not forget about Neo Year. Neo Year was phenomenal.
Yeah, that is true.
So like, there's a lot of good books. I don't know where the order would be, but let us know, people. Would you consider this a Batman book?
If you guys would like to know what we are considering for this list on Twitter, on my Twitter account at FanboyClay, I am making a thread going from January all the way to the current books that we're talking about, and I will be updating them every single month. So that way, Juice, because I know he always asks me, "Hey, where's a list that I can look at?" So
I need to remember what it is. But the thing is there was good stories in like urban legends and stuff. That's what I forget, and I'm just like, oh fuck. So
and I will do some of those technicalities, and I'll send them to you because there are some that are like that.
Because I think the racing story is really good. I don't know if it makes my top 10 because I have to go through the whole year, but that racing story was really good.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that's what I need to remember. But yeah, so if this doesn't make it, like if people don't count it, it's still getting an honorable mention. So like, you know, just letting you know right now. But anyways, let's move on to a book that's not going to be in our top 10 list. Punchline, the Gotham game. So I'm going to be real with you. This book wasn't super exciting, but this is one of those like, it's a Batman book. It's okay. I don't hate it.
The best part about this book is the art.
The art is really cool.
This art felt very 90s.
Yeah.
Which is very ironic because DC is in the middle of their like 90s kick right now with all the covers and whatnot. But this very much felt like a 90s book. And it didn't dawn on me until the middle of this book.
Mm-hmm.
This is Teenie Howard. And it definitely feels like a Teenie Howard book.
Yeah. Well, it's actually Teenie Howard and her husband, I think.
They're both Howards. I can see the reason why.
Yeah.
So for one, the way this book picks up, like we see Bruce and Nightwing, okay, that's just whatever. But punchline story, I don't usually say this in a lot of comics, but I think there needed to be exposition from where she was at the end of the first issue in this one, because the only thing is at the end of that first issue was like the bomb of like, oh, Bruce was actually at that concert
Yeah.
and he was undercover.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like, that was the end of the issue. And then picking up here, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot to be missing here, but I will say Howard has potential to be a good writer. And I think she has done some good stuff. But I just don't think she can like do a long-term storytelling, right? Like, and I think everybody, like I think a lot of writers have good moments and stuff. Because there are some moments in her Catwoman run, and I was like, I really like that. That was cool. It is what it is. This particular run, I like that she's trying to use like the Royal Flush Gang. I enjoy that. I do like the dialogue here, and this is what kind of sucks when she has a writing partner. Is this her or is this a husband?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm curious about, because we did that when we were reading Vampires, right? What we're going to cover later. We're like, how the fuck is this Tynan? There's no fucking way this is Tynan, you know?
Yeah.
And so I'm curious here. If I'm not mistaken, can you confirm if this is her husband working on this one? Because I don't know. I didn't read the credits. Like, so
yeah, I'll look at it real quick.
But because I know they're supposed to be working on a book together, and I don't. Maybe that's Harley Quinn. I don't really know, but I know.
Teeny Howard and Blake Howard.
Okay, yeah. So they're all working on this together. There was one thing I did like in this book. I liked their explanation on why Punchline is obsessed with Joker. It's because she was raised on it. And I really like that. You know, where Harley Quinn was manipulated into being in love with Joker, you know what I mean? But we see it because it's kind of what happens today, right? Like we've seen this weird social media type thing happening with Punchline. Like that's her big thing, right? There was a whole run we didn't give a fuck about that was written by Tynan, if I'm not mistaken, that is all Punchline that we just don't care about, which this goes into, or this is sprouted out of, I should say. Yeah. And so she has this social media influence that she likes. There was like a podcast thing, all this kind of jazz. But that's what a lot of there are people today. There are people that are becoming YouTubers today that never grew up without YouTube. Mr. Beast, for one, being one. Yeah. Like he grew up on YouTube. His whole life was YouTube. He doesn't even watch movies or shows, he says. He just watches YouTube, which I think is fucking crazy.
That's insane.
But that's how people are. So just imagine a character like Punchline who grew up with the Joker always being in her ear or always being on TV or being talked about. And so she's like, this guy's kind of cool.
Oddly enough, Punchline is the character that I just mentioned about, like, why isn't there like a Jeffrey Dahmer of Gotham? And we haven't really heard too much prior to that one random story in that special about how she somehow convinced Joker, or like Joker was in her dorm room or something. Like I forgot how exactly it got to that point, but then like that was her origin. But like, I think I would like to learn a little bit more about her childhood now, knowing this, now seeing what Batman is saying about how, oh, he influenced her because of how much he has been around her life as a kid.
Yeah, I would say that it's probably in those stuff we didn't read. They probably went into her childhood and all that stuff, because this book also mentions Bluebird. I thought her name was Blue Jay. Is that not what Snyder named her originally? Did they change her name? I thought she was always Blue Jay, because that sounds so much better than Bluebird. Bluebird sounds kind of dumb. You know what I mean? I could have sworn her name was Blue Jay.
Is Bluebird.
Wow. Yeah. Mandela effect. But no, a Blue Jay's such a better name. They should change that. Bluebird is dumb. It's a type of bird.
You can't say Blue Jay because that is what Nightwing is. Nightwing is like his bird is a blue jay.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he got his name from whatchamacallit.
Yes, it's technically from Krypton, from Superman. But when people represent, like, because
you're the first person ever telling me this, by the way.
Really?
I've never heard that his bird is Blue Jay.
I see it all the time. Whenever people like represent, because people are like, oh, Robin is a robin, like an actual bird. And so I see all the time in like fan art, like the characters being represented by birds or animals and whatnot. You'll see Batman as a bat. You'll see Robin as a Robin. You'll see Nightwing as a Blue Jay.
Okay.
And then
Drake
you'll
as
see
UPS. Yeah.
Drake
what it
is a Red Robin.
Oh, okay.
And then Batgirl another bat and whatnot. So you can't call Harper Blue Jay. It has to be a Bluebird.
But is that like legitimately, or is it just fan art that's doing that? You know what I mean?
I think it's technically just fan
So
art.
I think you're getting the vision of fan art, but like, because I always kind of thought like Nightwing is kind of like more of a hawk type creature, like a dangerous creature, like a dangerous bird. A blue jay seems like cute and cuddly. You know what I mean? And the logo looks fucking dope. I'm like, if I were to see that logo, I'd be like, oh, I'm fucking scared. Like nobody wants to have like a Talon, show up on their shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That you're genuinely that's the first time I've ever heard that. I assume that he was a bird because obviously that's what the logo is, but it gives off like eagle vibes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That would be interesting if there is any kind of story like that. Anybody that's ever read that, if you have that, let me know. But I feel like Clay's read a bunch of Nightwing, so I would assume he would know if that was official. I still think Bluebird's a dumb name though. Although I do like Harper Row though. I think that's a cool character that they never did anything with again. And they
need to put her more in the spotlight, not just in a backup book.
They tried to do it with the Punchline thing. So unfortunately,
again, it's in a backup. They need to put her, like, if you make a Teen Titans, I think now she's a little bit older to be a Titan. But if you give me a new lineup of Titan or Titans, sorry, and you put Bluebird in there instead of Nightwing, I think a lot of people would be mad, but I would read it 100%.
Yeah, but I also think it's like that's what everybody says with like, oh, if you want to make Blue Beetle more popular, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't see it happening. Like, you need to have her be in an arc of Batman. You know what I mean? She needs to be an arc of Superman, like the main titles. I always go with this philosophy. If it's not in the main title, it doesn't count. Because like I hate to say this, but nobody's gonna remember this Ram V run. I'm sorry, we're not even covering it this week because we're just done with it. It's gonna fall into one of those things. If you ever like to go to the bargain bookshops, it's gonna be one of those stories that it's like, oh, what was this? And you're gonna pick it up and you're just gonna be like, I never read this book before. Like, that's just what's gonna happen with this Ram V story, it feels like. And I have so many of those on my shelf over here because I will buy any Batman story that there is. I have a book that I'm pretty sure a lot of people have never heard of that's called Batman like Year 100. That is fucking random and crazy.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's wild. And
I've
I'm just
read
like,
that one. Yeah.
and I have all of those. And so like, there's so many, I have so many random Batman books because I just love buying Batman books. But I think Ram V's story is just going to be something like that. And so again, I think people really just focus on the main titles. And if it doesn't happen in the main title, it doesn't count. And that's why, like, my goal is not to write detective, although I would write that. But I feel like if you write detective, that excludes you from writing Batman, if that makes sense. Because has there been a writer that's wrote both? Like, long term?
Ooh, that's what
I'm
good
curious
question. Drew, back me up on this, but I believe. Oh, no, hold on. Wait, I think it was Snyder.
He wrote both?
I think he started on Detective.
Did he?
And then he jumped on Batman with Black Mirror. And then it went into New 52 and he got to write Batman. I am pretty sure. Drew, correct me if I'm wrong. Anybody else?
Because I know he did Eternal, but that doesn't count as
no, that's in New 52.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure Snyder got started in Detective before New 52. Then he jumped on Batman, did his Black Mirror run, and then that was when they did New 52, and then he got to continue Batman.
Yeah, if anybody knows that information, let us know. Because also, I don't think a woman has ever wrote Batman long term. Because Tamaki was like one of the first ones, right?
Yeah.
That was Detective, though. See, she didn't get the main Batman title. Although she is getting a series in Dawn of DC, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, she is.
She writes well, so I'm curious to see what she's gonna do. It's just that last story was not bad.
One thing that a couple of friends of mine had a conversation about, and I do think it's a missed opportunity. Dawn of DC has like maybe one or two female led heroes in all of its lineup.
I thought it has none.
Is it none?
I think it's none
I
because I thought your co-host tweeted that.
I think she did. Yeah, I need to go back.
I don't think there is a female-led story, which again, if you're not giving Wonder Woman her own series, that's fucking dumb.
But also, who's reading Wonder Woman right now?
Again, yeah, I mean, there is not that. I don't know why they haven't offered that to Tom King, but I want to also know if Tom King's like, I can't, I don't know, man. I don't know if I can do Wonder Woman. You know, because I think it's hard because I wonder, like, you know how obviously they're like Batman can't be happy. Like that's the biggest thing. I want to know what are Wonder Woman's rules, you know? Like what does Wonder Woman can't do? And is it like, oh no, she has to be hopeful and this and that, and like that's like something you can't do. But it blows my mind that there hasn't been a good like Wonder Woman story that everybody goes back to, right? I think some people say the Greg Rucka stuff was good. Was that New 52? I read some of the New 52 stuff and it was okay, but I don't remember it being like this was like the definitive best Wonder Woman story, you know? And
Rucka was the beginning of Rebirth.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I read the New 52 stuff.
That was
I'm not too sure who that was.
Azzarello?
No, was it?
Yeah.
I mean, I have the books there, but they're kind of buried with all the other stuff.
I'm pretty sure it was Azzarello. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember reading that run, which that was the run that made her an actual god. And that wasn't the clay stuff.
Yeah.
So that was a really interesting run. And she fought a lot of the gods for a really long time, which was kind of cool. The art was it was decent. It wasn't the best art, but it was actually it was kind of cool. But anyways, so yeah, when it comes to like Punchline, this book, don't really care too much, but they do end up ending it with the new Catwoman that's gonna be. This has already come out for New 52 or episode 52. The synopsis: it's Miko or Iko, the girl we've seen in Catwoman, who was her love interest back in New 52. Yeah. So that is happening, and she gets stabbed at the end of this by Punchline, which is really interesting.
I don't like the dialogue of the last panel. It feels very weird.
For what Batman's saying?
Yes. Yeah. Like, again, I think we've said it before. Bruce Wayne is exposition heavy, especially in the Batcave.
Yeah.
Batman out in the field is not.
Yes.
He is a man of very few words.
I agree.
And I feel like the first part of him like calling Nightwing, I need a medic, you know, that stuff, very simple. That is Batman. But when he starts to like yell at Punchline while he's grappling and stuff, like that just got a little too much, you know?
Yeah, I agree. The wording could have been better too. But I kind of feel like Batman would say something along the lines of, you don't want to fuck with Catwoman, like something like that. But yeah, I think the way it came about could have been done better. Like, I don't think him saying it while he was grappling to save somebody was good. Like if he was on a rooftop about to like jump away or get into the bat wing, like the bat plane, and say that, I think that would have been more believable. But yeah, like while saving her, grappling up through like flames or whatever.
Because I personally think Batman's main focus would be
saving
Iko.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I think I want to say I brought this up on the podcast lately, but I've been downloading a bunch of like Batman Black and White and all that kind of stuff. And dude, there's so many stories I did not read that are just like one shots of Batman that are so good. I've been going through some of those, but I think I mentioned it on the podcast recently, but I reread that Tom King story where he saves the father from the burning church.
Yeah.
That's such a good story. But I downloaded the old school Pride issues because I didn't know Mitch Gerards and Tom King did a 1-page thing. And I saw it this, I guess, I don't know why it was coming about, but it was like all the Batmans in a 9-page panel. And he was just like saying this monologue of like all the different colored Batman. I was like, oh, I never read that. I was like, let me go check that out. But yeah, I don't know. I've just been downloading a lot of stuff, but yeah, here, it is a book, you know, it's nothing too crazy. I don't hate it yet, but it's not something I would praise. But this is supposed to tie in with Catwoman, which again, there's been more Batman in these 2 books of Punchline than there has been in Teenie Howard's Batman run or Catwoman run,
Yeah.
which is crazy. So like, I don't know. I don't know if she's doing this book to also cross over with her Catwoman book, and then it's gonna bleed into Batman. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just kind of, it is
I
what it
think they're
is.
wanting to create synergy, of course, to make more sales on everything.
Yeah.
But you have to convince me more with this book.
It doesn't help that you just did the last issue where you don't want me. I don't want to care about Batman and Catwoman's relationship anymore. Like, you just broke that for me.
True.
You know, yeah, I saw somebody arguing on Twitter about the reason why I guess they're cool with the Catwoman story right now. They were saying like, "Oh, I like what's happening with how all of Catwoman's lovers are all here and they're kind of all respectful." So like how she talks about like Eco and Valmont there, and she talks to Batman, all like they're like, oh yeah, they're just all adults having a proper conversation. And I'm just like, no, they just fucking ignored everything. Like
Yeah.
it's terrible writing. Like, yeah, it's cool. That's the way you want adults to work. Like, you want all your relationships to be perfect. That's fine. But the way the writing for that book was terrible. Like, because it doesn't make any sense. And there's like so many unwritten answers that haven't, or there's so many like questions that have been written that need answers that they're not doing that. But yeah, I went back and some people just kind of like were totally cool with the idea, because we didn't really talk about that book too much, but there was dialogue in there that we didn't dive onto, which was that guy Dario, which is the guy that they took like a week to try to save, and he was in the car the whole time, just driving around and like, I guess fucking a highway. But he said something along those lines of like, oh, is this over between you and Batman or some shit like that? She's like, no. She's like, we're on a break and he's like my future. And I'm like, what relationship is ever like that? Like that where y'all are on a break, but you're like, oh no, he's totally going to be my future. I see him in my future and like, we're going to be together. I'm like, but you're fucking other people now? Like this like a Teenie Howard must be doing some really progressive stuff with that. Because like, I'm like, this must be an open relationship or something like that, because I just don't understand it. But again, they hinted at like Zdarsky needs to answer that in his book.
Yeah.
It makes no sense because he's the one that gave us the sexy version of the breakup. And Howard gave us the, oh, they're not really broken up and she's okay version. Like it's such a bad story. And now we got Punchline getting into this. Like, I don't know.
Batman can't worry about women. He's fighting a crazy robot.
Speaking of that, you want to know what CBR is talking about this week?
Oh,
CBR is talking about how Batman, and this comes into, what book did this just happen with? The title is Batman's opinion of his greatest weakness is a sobering message about mental health. And they're about Nightwing. They're talking about how he can't be happy because he thinks it's a weakness. And I'm like, again, we're pushing this because,
what book did recently come out that
the fucking Nightwing 98, the imp one, where he gets sent to the wedding and he's like, oh, I have a triple homicide. Blah, blah.
That's stupid.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
They're also referencing the backing of Azur Ra, the final book or whatever too, like how he was trying to make up a backup personality so it's not a weakness, like so he doesn't have any weaknesses. But I'm like, bro, like it doesn't, the pushing the narrative of he has to be dark and gloomy. Here's the thing. I feel like people that push that narrative have never been depressed. When you're depressed, you don't feel like doing anything. Why would you think that you're going to be able to go? You're so much more powerful when you're depressed and unhappy. You know what I mean? I feel like when you have something to fight for and something you're passionate about, you do so much better than when you're dark and gloomy and depressed. Like, it makes no sense. Like, I understand that he comes from a tragic past, but if he's supposed to be depressed the whole fucking time, that makes no sense. He wouldn't get anything done. He would be on antidepressants and be going to therapy, like, or be drinking. He'd be an alcoholic or abusing drugs. But like, no, he has a mission. It's what he's doing. But I don't know. Like, and I think it's just, it's a story we can talk about until the end of time. But I do think it's a dumb narrative. But let's go on to the final book of this week, and that is DC versus Vampires number 11. The series is almost over. What did you think of this book?
I really like this issue. Cliffhanger was great. I think
Yeah.
the humor was great in this issue. There is
P joke was done a little too much.
too much, of course. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I lost track. Hold on. 5. There is 5 pages of this issue that were completely drawn by somebody else, and I kind of want them to go back to drawing this. Right when you see, spoiler alert, Lobo, the next page, and for the next 5 pages is drawn by somebody else, and they do the entire fight scene in Gotham beautifully. It
Yeah.
looks great.
Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. This is I mean, the art styles are similar though, for sure.
It's similar, but you could definitely tell. Look at the way John Henry Irons is drawn on page 8, and then you see him when Lobo is blowing smoke in his face on page 10. Like, completely different art style.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I couldn't tell you because, like, I mean, again, like, it definitely different art styles there, but it does seem pretty. I think it meshed well because I actually honestly didn't notice it. But yeah, there's a huge action, like a lot of action in this book, which was great for a penultimate episode or issue, right? But like, so we have everybody fighting in the middle of Gotham, like Clay was talking about, and they get their backup, which is all of the other heroes, which is like, freaking, we got, oh my God, I'm forgetting, what's his
So
name?
we have Roy Harper,
Yeah.
Arsenal, then we got Signal, then we
There
got
you go, Signal.
Spoiler,
Yeah.
and
Orphan. Well, I
Orphan.
guess they're Batgirls, technically.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have the Batgirls. They pick up everybody like Damien and everything, and they're heading to a certain area, but they have a lot of people on their tail. So it's like a basically Fast and the Furious zombie chase scene, which will be movie 11. And they're doing that. And while this is all going on, we also have we have what happened in the last issue, which was Green Arrow and Swamp Thing, with the guy I did not know
Cole.
was.
It didn't dawn on me until he fucking wore the mask. And I was like, that makes so fucking sense.
And I was just like, what? I was like, I did not realize it was that character. And I was just like, what's his name? The character's name.
Is
it's a Jim Lee creation.
Yes, of course. Right when you say it, it freaking leaves my mind.
Yeah, fucking it's Wildcats. He's part of Wildcats. His name is, I'm fucking forgetting. But yeah, anyways, that guy. God damn it. Now I just want to like know the name now. But anyways, he's part of it with Grifter. There you go. They're making a bunch of pee jokes, which is whatever. But this allows they need time to like gain power for Swamp Thing, and he makes a bunch of like blades and stuff with his powers, which I think is kind of cool. And they're ready to fight. And essentially, it looks like Green Arrow has a bow and arrow made out of bones, is what it looks like. But I'm assuming that's like whatever Swamp Thing created, right? So I think that's kind of cool. Again, there's this huge fight scene in Gotham, which leads to the thing. But then what happens is we see Lobo shows up and has a confrontation with Kara and all them. And he's like, sorry, I've been hired to kill you guys and you can't go any farther. But they're like, what if we cut a deal with you? I don't think we get told what the deal is.
We don't.
So, and he's like, that's kind of where it cuts off.
We are told what the deal is, but later on.
Okay. I guess I don't remember it.
So what ends up happening after that, we get the scene with both Swamp Thing, Green Arrow, and Cole, while also seeing what's going on in Gotham with the Bat family and everybody else.
Yeah.
But we see Lobo kind of walking and strutting along while Kara and the one half of the Wonder Twins, I always forget her name.
Yeah.
And John Henry Irons, like all wrapped up. And they're talking to him, and they're going off to this ship because they want to send Kara up into space.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, you need to tell us what business do you have here? He's like, oh, well, I'm going to collect a prisoner to go put in that ship. And
Yeah,
they're
because
like,
we
oh,
found out in the story that aliens are getting shipped off of Earth because they don't want, like, the vampires don't want to deal with aliens. And like that's when John Henry is all just like, yeah, aliens are crazy. And Kara and the Wonder Twin were like, we're aliens. Like, what
and
the
he's like,
hell?
that's not what I meant. You know what I
Yeah.
meant? I meant the bad ones, not the good ones, and all that shit.
I irony. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh yeah,
Irony.
100%.
But yeah. So I thought that was funny.
But when he says collecting a prisoner or whatever, they snap back real quick and they're like, oh well, all of the prisoners are already on the ship. He's like, oh well, then it must be the next ship.
yeah.
And then we see Martian Manhunter and Miss Martian, and Martian Manhunter is like, what seems to be the problem? And this is when Lobo says, oh well, the problem is these people here, I'm supposed to kill them. You told me to kill them, but instead they made a deal with me to possibly get them here and cause a scene and whatnot. And that's when John Henry's like, you freaking traitor. He's like, no, I'm not a traitor. I just made things interesting. I want to have
Yeah.
fun here. And then a giant fight ensues.
Yeah, yeah. And he just like blows off one of these guards' heads, which is really awesome. Huge fight. We do get this is switching between 3 different scenes, which is of course is the Gotham people. They're in a big car chase. We see Canary blow up a whole bunch of people with her voice, but she's like, I gotta recharge essentially. And then they're getting to the, I guess, the end of Gotham, and they're using these lights to, of course, kill all the vampires. Damian has to like hide because he obviously doesn't want to get fried, which is kind of crazy. Kind of sucks that we possibly lose characters here in this chase scene. Which, if I'm not mistaken, it was Orphan, right? Was it her bike that gets destroyed?
So her bike gets destroyed along with oh shit, what is his name?
The zombie guy.
Frankenstein.
Yeah.
And I think it was Batgirl that's like, they can, or no, it was Signal. Signal's like, they'll take care of themselves, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
Quite possibly dead now.
Yeah, because they got knocked out by Gorilla Grodd.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It does look like Grodd is hitting Frankenstein, but what's her name is just flying in the air. So
yeah,
it's possible that she does live. But yeah, so we find out they make it, I guess, I'm assuming out of the city, and they're, they have some friends there that look like Batwing and Huntress. But then they're greeted by some other villains, which it looks like it's KG Beast. I don't know who the girl is. I forget her name. The Wonder Girl, right?
So that is Wonder Girl, aka Cassie.
Yeah.
Then Power Girl,
which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, that's another Kryptonian. It's like, all right.
And then Mr. Freeze, and the one in the middle, I was very surprised to see.
Yeah. I thought she lived, though. Didn't they show her as like one of the disciples, like hiding? I could have sworn that in the last issue.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I've never read her book.
Yeah.
She is a part of the Young Animal imprint.
The Gerard Way stuff.
Yeah. I never read her stuff, but like I know that she's been involved with Batman before, so I was like, oh shit.
She's like very anti-Batman at times. That was a really weird series that like Batman was like a milkman at one time, or like somebody was a milkman, and like it was a big random crazy thing. But if you love My Chemical Romance, I'm pretty sure you've read it, because that was Gerard Way's like journey into stuff. Better than anything CM Punk's done. I'll say that. So
true.
CM Punk can't even wrestle anymore, let alone write. But yeah, so crazy shit there. And then, yeah, we get to see the big reveal towards the end. It looks like our heroes are done for because, Martian Manhunter knocks down, freaking Steel and all that jazz. We do see that he's like, oh, we forget her name, the Wonder Twin. He's like, look, you can't do anything to me. Like, I'll beat your ass. You're done. I'm stronger now than I was before. And she's all like, oh, well, so am I. And we find out that who we thought was Kara was just a water version of Kara. And they're like, what the fuck? Where's Supergirl? And we see this missile flying up to the sky. And they're like, we got to stop her. And she's like, she's just got to see the sun. And like, it's very dramatic. I feel like this would be like, what is the Nolan movie? Interstellar.
Interstellar.
Yeah, I feel like it would be like this moment with the crazy soundtrack of her seeing the sun and shit. and then it's just this one-page spread that says our final hours with this huge explosion. And I love how, I guess, John Henry or whatever is like he's probably dead on the ground, or he's probably seeing this as his last like visual of like, yes, we did it. And I think that's like really awesome.
Well, here's the thing. Did he do it or did he not? The ship is probably destroyed and she probably didn't see the sun. There could be two outcomes, realistically.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
yeah, I didn't think about that. I like to think the good version.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Like, we always assume the heroes will always win.
Yeah.
But there is a very, very real situation, because I think we have read, I don't know on this podcast in particular, but I think we have both read separately Elseworld stories that don't have a happy ending. You know?
True.
So this is technically an Elseworld story. You can definitely have it to the point of like they both lose, in the sense of like the fight in Gotham goes horribly, as well as Kara dies here. Vampires win all the way around.
Yeah.
Or you can have vice versa on each one. Kara lives while the people in Gotham die, or Kara dies and the people in Gotham live. So there's a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
It's going to be very, very interesting how they close out this first, because I do feel like, unfortunately, DC versus Vampires is going to get the deceased treatment. I feel like it's going to.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't. I didn't think she died. Clay just ruined this for me, because it's a possibility now that I'm thinking about it. I'm like, oh, she could have died. Because, yeah, I see the Wonder Twin. Like, the Wonder Twin, you can think it's either good or bad. Yeah. Because it could be like, yes, we did it. Or like, no, she died.
Like, so, because you see this very bittersweet moment where Kara like takes off the headdress.
Yeah.
And she smiles like she's about to see the sun. And then kaboom. So,
well, technically, the light is starting to show. If you look at the window, it's getting lighter and lighter. So, like, the sun rays are starting to go through.
But is that a sun ray or is it a missile?
That would be fucking wild if it was a missile. Like, here's a fucked up thing, though. Because, like, if it's a missile, that makes sense, right? Like, they had technology to blow it up. But if not, America's shot people into space and it's exploded before, so just kind of fucked up. Kind of fucked up, Tynan, but you know, it is what it is. I'm hoping that this was just a Super Saiyan moment where she got that first ray of sunshine and she's like, she fucking explodes, you know.
But at the same time, like, that would be horrible because there are innocent aliens on that ship.
Are there? Well, yeah, fuck them, you know. we need Supergirl, so what can you do? As long as she lives, we're good. You know, they're aliens, like John was saying, or not John, but fucking, you know, Steele was saying, he's like, they're bad. You know what I mean?
Oh so man, I almost spit that out. Oh shit.
But yeah, I don't know. Crazy shit. Good story. Again, if you make me want to read the next issue, it's a good fucking book. And yeah, so I thought that was solid shit. DC versus Vampires, probably top 10 worthy. I think it has Batman in it, or does it not? Because it's not a Batman book. Answer us that question, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know. Does this count?
I would say it does, because on our list of Batman books, we involve Nightwing, we involve Batgirl, we involve all the Batman-centric characters. This is a Batman-centric book because you still have Nightwing as the main fucking villain, and you have Damian, Batgirl, you have all of the Bat family being involved here as the heroes trying to save the world.
Yeah, true. I would say if Batman's involved in the book, it counts. But let's think what the audience decides. Because like Human Target, you can make you can definitely make the argument that it's not. But issue number 9, because we can do that in the series, right? That's a Batman. It involves Batman. I think if it involves Batman, it counts. But let's let the audience decide on that. But anyways, that is it for this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Clay, do you got anything going on this week at all?
So this week, I know that it is Thanksgiving, but an episode of Star Wars Alliance did drop. We reviewed the finale of Andor, Really, really great series. I absolutely loved it, and we gush about that last episode. So go check that out. A very unfortunate thing happened in the Power Rangers community this past week with the passing of Jason David Frank. We had recorded for a Ranger Alliance episode a regular episode, and then it happened, so we did add on to it our condolences, some memories, and things like that. So go listen to that. But yeah, so Ranger Alliance and Star Wars Alliance, go listen to those.
Noise. I'm still just doing a bunch of short stuff. I think I dropped a video today. I don't know. I think I need to record some more videos for that. But yeah, I've been streaming on the Shorts channel. Some of you that listen to the podcast have actually showed up to those streams, which is really awesome. I usually do them Monday, Wednesday, or Friday. You just got to keep an eye out. There might be one tomorrow, but I'm also really busy tomorrow, so there might not be. So, yeah, just keep an eye out for that. Just go check out my Shorts channel. Well, it's actually called Juice from the Box Clips now and not Shorts because YouTube changed their whole fucking platform. So Shorts are kind of obsolete to have for just a channel anymore. But that is going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys had a happy holiday. If you're buying some Black Friday stuff, hopefully you get whatever you want. But that is going to be it for this podcast. As always, he is Fanboy Clay, and I am Juice Wayne. And as always, Batman. I said that wrong. Batman's awesome, guys. Have a good day.
News Weekly.